أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I hope you can all hear me. I haven't been very well, so I am well enough to speak now, but I keep breaking into this cough, so I don't want to raise my voice too much. Yeah, okay. I don't want to raise my voice too much so that we end up having a full. It's on, I think. Is this better? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so like I said, I just wanted to speak to you all about something which I think is extremely relevant because I think there is this gross misunderstanding that we all have with regards to anxiety and stress and the Islamic perspective on it. The first thing we need to realize is that this life was not created for complete comfort and joy, right? For that we have Jannah. If we had that here, then what would be the attraction of Jannah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already told us that He has created us in kabad, right? In toil, in struggle, in difficulty, in challenges. This is just the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this world. And this is one of the reasons why this world has got no significance with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? It does not even hold the weight of the wing of a mosquito. It's completely, it has no value. But of course we live in this world, and so as human beings, the way Allah has created us, we are programmed to chase happiness, to chase comfort, to want that complete calm and peace, and we want it for eternity. We don't want it for a little while. And this is the thing that I think it's one of the triggers for anxiety for all of us, is thinking that I'm comfortable now, but the challenge must be around the corner. The difficulty or the test must be around the corner, because we know as believers that it's coming and it's not going to stay stagnant for very long. So in this chase for this constant peace, we end up chasing the wrong things because we think that this is what's going to give me pleasure. This is what's going to keep my happiness stable. Like for example, something that you've always wanted to achieve. Let's say, for example, you've always wanted to lose weight. So you finally come down 3 dress sizes, and you think once that happens, I would have achieved my lifelong goal and I will never be miserable again. Nothing is going to ever make me more miserable again, And then you achieve that goal, and then again that happiness doesn't last, because we were pinning our happiness on something which is temporary, something which is going to change. I'm really sorry about this constant interruption with the coughs. So first of all, the first thing we need to put in our minds is we need to have reasonable expectations. And even with parenting, this is one of the main things I have always said to people that I have learned over my 20 odd years of parenting, to have reasonable expectation. Have reasonable expectation from your kids. Have reasonable expectation from your spouse, from your family, from your friends. Have reasonable expectations from life. Okay? And so when you have reasonable expectations, then you're not living in a bubble, right? You're not expecting that nothing's going to go wrong or everything's going to be picture perfect. Everything is going to go according to Allah's plan. Okay? It might be the right thing in your mind, it might be the wrong thing in your mind, but it's according to Allah's plan. And as long as you have that expectation that things are going to go up and down, then you will not be disappointed when things go up, and you will not be disappointed when things go down, and you will not be overjoyed when things go up, because you know that this is the yin and yang of life, right? So that is one of the main things. I'm just going to give you 5 main points. So this is the first point, is that have reasonable expectations, and when something hits you, whatever it might be, don't try and rationalize. That's one of the... you're setting yourself up for more disappointment and more anxiety when you start rationalizing. Because there are so many things that you just can't understand. They just don't make sense, right? This was not supposed to happen like that. For example, I had a brother who was a pilot, and he had a wife and 3 kids, and his youngest child was 7 and his eldest was 14. And he used to fly chartered planes. And he was 47, and he was doing one of his flights, and his plane was shot down, and he was killed instantly, and he left behind a wife and 3 kids. And as much as we tried to rationalize, we just couldn't understand. He was a really good guy. He was taking care of his family. He was doing a lot of charity. Now all of a sudden, his wife and kids were left to do this journey on their own. And this incident happened almost 20 years or more back. And his wife and kids went through an extremely difficult time. So I'm just saying, don't try and rationalize, because it's not going to make sense. It's not going to add up. But in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's books and in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plans, it's perfect. It all adds up. It all makes sense. It's just when we try and match our little brains and our little limited understanding with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's when we get really confused and lost, and we go the opposite way. We start to become disillusioned, and we almost go off track, right? We go away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the human being, the angels asked him, why would you do this? They're going to kill, they're going to cause bloodshed, it didn't make sense, right? Because the angels were there, they were worshipping Allah, everything was going well, right? What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to them? Inni a'lamu ma la ta'lamun. And so when things happen in our life, we have to remember that statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, He knows the ghaib, He knows what is apparent. He knows and we don't know. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, عَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَعَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. It might be that there is something that you hate, but it is good for you. And there might be something that is that you love, but it is bad for you, and Allah knows and you do not know. The last point I want to give for this, the first point that I'm still talking about, is trusting in Allah's plan and trusting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not there to harm you. He's not there to make you miserable or to mess up your life in any way. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you very, very much. So this analogy usually is a good way to try and understand this. I always find analogies help more than just trying to explain concepts. So imagine, for some of you maybe it's your husband, for some of you it might be your mom, someone that you who's very, very close to you. Let's say it's your husband and he's waiting in the car outside, okay, and you sit in the car and you start driving. And you say to your husband, where are we going? And he says, just wait and see. I'm not going to tell you. Now, how many of us at that point are going to ring 999 and say, I've just been kidnapped by my husband and, I'm going somewhere and I don't know where I'm going. How many of us would do that? Why wouldn't we do that?
There's a level of trust.
Because you know that this is my husband, he cares about me, I live with him, I know him, he takes care of me. He's not going to do anything to hurt me. Okay, even if I don't know where we're going, I'm comfortable, I'm fine. I'm not like getting some panic attack or I'm not getting anxious, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the driver of our lives. And our life goes through different twists and turns, highs and lows. Like I said, the yin and yang of life. And we panic and we get scared and we get worried. And that just reflects that we lack trust. We lack trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's decision, in His wisdom, in His plan. And that doesn't harm anyone except ourselves. Right? It does not affect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it does affect us. And that's why we need to trust in Allah's plan, and we need to know that when things are going up, there's a reason for it, and when things are going down, there's a reason for it. And it's not to hurt us, it is for our benefit. As the Prophet ﷺ said, that it's the affair of a believer is amazing. When something good happens to him, he is grateful and it is good for him. And when something bad happens to him, he is patient and it is good for him. And this is not the case for anyone except the believer. Because when you start losing hope, when you start becoming disillusioned and when you start worrying when you shouldn't be, that's when you are not fulfilling that, these words of the Prophet ﷺ. And that's when it will harm you, it will not benefit you. Point number 2. Grief, sadness, pain, fear, crying, these are normal human emotions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us with. So to feel sad, to feel worried, to feel extremely grief-stricken, to cry, to feel very, very sad. There is nothing wrong with that. Even to feel anxious, there is nothing wrong with that, because as human beings, we will feel those things. These are normal emotions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us with. And they are not linked to the level of your iman. Okay? So don't let anybody tell you that because you are crying or because you're anxious about such and such thing, that means you've got low iman. That is not correct. But how you cope with that sadness, how you cope with that situation, how you cope with that challenge, that is connected to your iman. But feeling that anxiety, that worry, that stress, that sadness, that grief, these are normal human emotions. And we see this several times throughout Seerah, throughout the lives of the Anbiya. Yaqub alayhi salam, he lost his son, and he knows that there is a wisdom, right? That he has lost his son for whatever period of time. He cried so much that he lost his eyesight. Was he unhappy with Allah? Did he have low iman? Did he not trust Allah? No. He had all of these things in place. But he had sadness as a father. He had a normal human emotion. The Prophet ﷺ, he cried when Ibrahim, his little son, died in his own arms. Right? He was about two and a half, or he was at an age which is a really lovely age for a child. So the Prophet ﷺ, he cried. The thing is that we cry and we complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't complain about Allah. Okay? So yes, so as Yaqub alayhi salam said, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. Ilallah, right? You complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't say to Allah, why did you do this to me? why are you being so bad to me? But you complain to Allah. You say, I'm really sad about this situation. I feel really stuck. I feel a lot of pain. Such and such did this with me, or such and such has happened with me. So you complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So having iman does not mean that you don't feel sad. It just means that you know how to cope with that sadness. You know how to deal with that grief or that sadness. And it is okay to feel pain. And pain is going to impact you. It is going to have an effect on you. It is going to have an effect on your mental health or whatever you want to call it. Like for example, the Prophet ﷺ, nobody has more trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the Prophet ﷺ, right? Before the Battle of Badr, he stood and he cried and he cried and he cried and he begged Allah and he cried and he begged Allah. Until even Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu comes to him and he says, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, stop. Your dua has been accepted. I mean, he's just telling him that just because it's so much. That does not reflect weak iman or lack of trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If anything, it reflects a very strong and good connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So, that is point number 2, that sadness and grief and feeling anxious, feeling stressed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the Prophet ﷺ in the Quran, right? فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ. Right? That Allah is validating that, this sadness or this worry that you have for your people, it's eating you up, it's going to hurt you. So when someone is sad, you should validate it. If your child is sad, or if you are sad, or your spouse, or your family member or friend, if someone is sad, don't say to them, you shouldn't be sad. This is okay, This is all according to Allah's plan. Don't be sad. This is not the kind of consolation you give. So you validate that sadness. You say, I understand that this must hurt you a lot. I understand this pain is very difficult for you to tolerate. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also validates the Prophet ﷺ's pain and his worry and his anxiety, right? You validate. That is therapy. To validate and acknowledge someone's pain and difficulty. Point number 3. As soon as the calamity or the sadness or the challenge hits you, the first thing you need to do is to turn to Allah. You leave everything else. And the first thing you need to do is you need to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is your foolproof coping mechanism with any situation. And yes, in the beginning, you might feel numb. You might feel, I'm doing this, but I'm not feeling it. You might feel, I don't feel like I'm getting anything out of this. You might start thinking, you know what, I need to speak to a therapist. I need to call my mom. I need to go for a holiday. I mean, you might think of different other coping mechanisms because you're going to think that, you know what, I've been making dua or I'm doing this and it's not doing anything. It's not helping me. But it is helping you. You're just too numb. You're just being hit too hard and shaken to the core to realize that it's helping you. You know when the Prophet ﷺ had the incident at Taif, when he went to Taif, after he's lost his wife, he's lost his uncle, he's lost 2 of the biggest supports he had, right? And he goes to Taif hoping that, he's going to do dawah and it's going to help. And they start pelting him with these rocks, okay? Can you imagine how much that must hurt your self-esteem? How worthless it must make you feel. And some challenges, they make you feel like Allah is angry with you. You think, maybe Allah's not on my side. Maybe Allah's not happy with me. And that's the worst thing to feel. From everything else that can happen to you, it's the worst thing to feel that this is happening to me because Allah is angry with me. Or for someone to come and tell you that. He walks. He says this, that he didn't realize where he was until he got to Qarn al-Tha'alib. And if you look on the map, where is Qarn al-Tha'alib in relation to Ta'if? It's almost, you could say, like a 2 to 4 hour walk away. So that means that you could almost, you can almost, the word deduce, yes, that he goes almost like numb for that period of time, because he says, I didn't know where I was or what had happened until I got to Qarn al-Tha'alib. This is the Prophet, right? So sometimes some things hit you so hard, you literally lose sense of your surroundings. So you're making dua, or you're trying to connect with Allah, you're standing on the prayer mat, you're thinking, but you're really almost like mentally you're switched off. You're just trying to process that this has actually happened. It could be a number of things, right? I can give you extreme examples. It could be death. Could be somebody got raped, for example. Could be somebody had a really bad accident. You could suddenly lose your job. I'm just saying different things hit people really hard. They shake them to the core, right? And it almost disorients you. And until you get grounded again, until you find your feet, yes, you will feel that I'm not able to connect, this is not helping. Keep trying, because you will get there. And this is just a natural process, okay, that it will take you some time, but as long as you persist and persevere, you will get there. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, right? That's the main thing. He knows that you're struggling and you're still trying. You're still trying to connect with Him, right? So, as soon as that calamity hits you, the first thing that has to come to your mind is that everything belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Including the thing that you've lost, including the thing that you want or you desire. Everything, all the treasures belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you, for example, let's say, you lost your job and it hit you really hard, okay? And you know the owner of the company, the CEO of that company personally. Your first instinct would be to go to him, right? Because it's his job. And he's the one who's made you redundant. He's the one who can hire you back. You're not going to go to your neighbor and say, oh, you know what, I lost my job, I really don't know what to do. The CEO is my personal friend, but, I'm still wondering what to do. She's going to say, are you crazy? Go to him. You know him personally. Go to him, ask him, speak to him. Maybe he'll give you back your job. You lose your job, you know the CEO personally, and you say, you know what, I think I should just go on a holiday. Maybe that will help me get my job back. People will think you're crazy. This is what we do with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're in a problem, and we'll go here, and we'll go there, and we'll go this person, that avenue, that channel. Just go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He owns everything that you want, everything that you lost, everything that you desire is with Him. Ask Him and He will give you. And I will talk a bit more about this towards the end. Okay. And as you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. These are the two things you need to grab onto as soon as something hits you. Sabr and salah. And of course, there's much more depth in this advice, but due to the, time constraints, we can't go into the details of that. But maybe we need to have just one, gathering where we just talk about وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. It's like the key to, to all the locks. Really it is. It's amazing. Okay. But yes, what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that when something happens, it's not in your control. You can't change it because you want to change it, right? If you lose someone, you lose your job, something bad happens, an accident happens, or anything that goes wrong, you want to stop it, but you can't, right? So the best thing to do is to accept it and then to turn to the one who owns that situation, right? That is the best thing you can do, because you can't change it as much as you want to. As much as the Prophet ﷺ, he wanted Abu Talib to say La ilaha illallah. He really, really wanted that. And that shows you that the Prophet ﷺ, being the most beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creations, right? He's the most beloved to Allah, but it's not what he wants that goes. It's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, right? As much as he wanted that, he couldn't have it because it was not written. It was not according to Allah's decision, right? So, turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Understand that everything belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He owns the treasures, and He's the only one who can change the situation or improve it, okay? And, trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan. So that was point number 3. Point number 4. Don't allow that anxiety or that situation to overwhelm you. And the reason I'm using the word allow, it is key. Remember, whatever happens to you, it happens to you because you allowed it to happen to you. People will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. You take nonsense, people will give you nonsense. You put your foot down, people will back off. You allow certain thoughts and certain ideas to circulate in your mind, the situation is just going to get bigger and worse for you. You control your thoughts, you control what enters your mind, you control how you look at things, and it will completely change the paradigm of everything. Okay? So that's why I'm saying you do have control to a certain extent on how you feel and how you allow these things to cause you anxiety and how you can allow these things to exacerbate bigger than they actually are. So what you focus on will grow. Okay? So some years back, my son had a really bad accident. He was at the airport and he just blacked out and he collapsed. Jazakallahu Khairan, thank you. And he broke 5 of his front teeth. And he called us and, he was telling us that he was lying in a pool of blood and he was spitting out crushed teeth. And this is when we're expecting that, he's just had a nice stopover and he's just going to be on his way again. And then as things went on, it turned out that he had broken his jawbone in 2 places and he'd slit his chin, and it was pretty bad. And everybody was a bit confused, that I wasn't crying or screaming, or I was just like, I was really calm and relaxed, and it's like, okay, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Because I was trying to focus on what was going right at that time. Because if I was to just start thinking that, oh my God, he's lost 5 of his front teeth. Oh my God, he has just broken his jaw and he's in an unknown place with no one around him. I mean, this is just going to make the anxiety worse, right? I thought to myself, alhamdulillah, he didn't pop his eye. I thought, alhamdulillah, he's still alive. Because just recently I'd heard of a friend whose husband had just fallen and died. So I'm saying, focus on what is going right. Focus on the positive things. And that will help you to feel good about even your bad situation. Even your bad situation starts to look good, right? I mean, right now, I'm so grateful to Allah that he's alive. That he's still in his senses, he's able to speak, there's a lot of things that are going right. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted, he could have lost his sight, he could have had brain damage, he could have had anything. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of his kindness and mercy, just caused him to just have a little bit of, like broke his teeth and his jaw and this and that. So picture this. There's a child with a slice of cake in a plate. And he's very happy. He's beaming, right? Because why is he beaming and happy? Because he has a slice of cake. Now, there's another boy. Put this picture next to this one. And he has a plate with the whole cake with that slice missing. And he's very sad.
Yeah.
Who has more cake?
We know.
The boy who's sad. But what is he focusing on?
Why he doesn't have a
He's
small
focusing
piece.
on the missing slice. So that makes him sad. He can't even see everything that he does have. Because he's so engrossed and focused on what he doesn't have. And look at the child who has less cake. But his focus is on that slice. He's so happy. Focus on all the things that are good and that are going right. And try to belittle the things that have gone wrong, or at least try and think that, alhamdulillah, qadar Allah, with Allah's wisdom, Allah's hikmah, and this will all fall into place. Ibn al-Qayyim, he said that on the Day of Judgment, when everything is laid out, you will see your entire life now, right? You'll see the beginning, the middle, and the end. Because right now we are only seeing the beginning and the current, right? We don't know what else there is. He said, when you see that, he said, you wouldn't change a thing. This is how perfect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan is. It might look like broken and, too many twists and turns and too many mistakes, but there are no mistakes. I think we become used to, for example, Hollywood, Bollywood, movies, things like that. And we get used to these happy endings. We will have a happy ending, but it's not going to necessarily be according to our perspective of a happy ending. But it will be a happy ending.
It might not be in the dunya at all.
And it might, what I'm saying is that your dunya will go perfectly according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan. If it looks perfect to you, if it looks imperfect to you, if it looks broken up and messed up to you, that's your perspective.
As long as we die on Shahada.
Alhamdulillah.
As long as we die on Shahada.
Okay. So don't let the problem exacerbate your situation. Don't focus on the problem. Try and move forward. Try and do the things you enjoy doing. Try and do the things that help you. Whatever it might be. Go for a massage, go for a pedicure, go out for a meal, surround yourself with loved ones. Do the things you enjoy. You'll be amazed, just reciting some Quran or memorizing some Quran, it brings so much joy and happiness to your heart that nothing else will. And you really need to do it and feel it and experience it to understand what I'm saying. But, if you do one salah, we do 5 salahs every day, right? And our salahs are like, half here, half there, thinking about this and that. Do one focused salah and see, you will feel like flying. You feel so happy and so elated. So do the things that you enjoy, whatever it might be. Like I said, you enjoy reading, you enjoy exercising, whatever you enjoy. Do that and try and move forward whatever situation you are in. Don't let that challenge or that worry or that anxiety or stress, don't let it stagnate you, okay? Keep moving forward and keep growing, keep thriving, and find the things that help you to thrive. And the last point, in dealing with anxiety and stress, the most powerful way to deal with anxiety and stress, as cliche, unfortunately, as it may sound, is by connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will not find relief in any other way. I gave you other examples just now. I said go for a massage, go for this. These will all help you to take your mind off and relax you for a little bit. But it's not going to get rid of this thing that is, weighing you down. The only thing, and it will take time. It's not going to happen in one day. It's not going to happen in 3 days. It will take time. But it will happen. it will fix everything for you. And that problem will still be as it is, but you just won't feel it. You would have just risen above that problem. Think of your connection with Allah as a muscle, okay? Imagine I go to my trainer at the gym and I say, I want to build muscle and I want to do it in one day. Do you think she can help me? Do you think I'm going to work out? Let's say I work out for 8 hours that day in the gym, which probably means I'll probably be going to my graveyard after that, because, working out for 8 hours is, 1 hour is bad enough, so imagine 8 hours. But do you think after 8 hours I will have had the muscles that I wanted? It's not going to happen. It's going to take time. It's going to take perseverance. It's going to take effort. And you're going to have to be consistent. Consistency is key. If you go to the gym for 3 days and you go take a break for 3 weeks, what happens when you go back? You start from scratch, right? You don't just pick up where you left off. That's not how it works. You start from scratch. And that means that now you have to start building again. Our deen, it's all about ibadah and connecting with Allah. And it just happens in different ways. So, let me tell you this. I was recently going to the gym and I was trying to work on certain, aspects of my health. And I noticed something really interesting, and I made this connection with my ibadah and the gym. So the trainer needed me to do 100 squats a day. But she can't tell me, do 100 squats and I'm going to stand here and watch you do it. I'm not going to do it. After 20 or 30 or maybe 40, I'm going to throw in the towel and I'm going to say, I can't do this anymore, right? So you know what she did? She said to me, you should do 25 squats when you're on the treadmill and then come to me. So I would do that, and I'm really happy and pleased with myself. Then I'd come to her. Then she'd give me a dumbbell, and she'd put me on top of a tire, and she'd say, now can you do these moves? And they're essentially squats, but it's a variant of a squat. I'm standing on a tire and I'm holding a dumbbell, but I'm still doing a squat. So I did about 30 of those, right? Then she takes me to another part of the gym and makes me do a few other things. Then we go back to another area, and she tells me to, she puts these rings on the floor and she says, squat and jump, squat and jump. So I do another 40, right? And so on and so forth, until I've done about 100 to 150 squats. I haven't even realized it. I got my goal of 100 or 150 squats. Connect with Allah through salah, through Quran, through dhikr, through being kind to someone, through helping someone, through reciting some Quran, through memorizing some Quran, through attending a dars. That's your 150 squats, right? If I said to you, now you sit on the prayer mat for the rest of the day and you just speak to Allah, what's going to happen after about 10 minutes, 20 minutes,
sleeping.
half an hour? Yeah, you'll be sleeping. Or you'll think, you know what, I need to check my messages now. You'll find an excuse to get out of it, right? Like when I used to get tired at the gym, I used to say to her, I need some water, right? You find a way to sort of like come out, because you just can't sit and do it constantly. Our deen provides us many, many avenues to connect with Allah. The point is, stay connected with Allah throughout your day. It doesn't matter how you do it. Like I said, you could be standing in front of your cooker, making some soup to give to your neighbor. You are connecting with Allah. You could be standing in a supermarket, reading the ingredients on a pack of cookies. Why are you doing that? To make sure that you're eating something healthy and you're not eating anything haram, right? That is dhikr of Allah. Right there, you're connecting with Allah. Because in your mind, you have Allah. That's why you're looking at the ingredients, right? So there are so many ways to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The point is, you connect with Allah. And the main thing is, then there are two ways to connect with Allah. When you want Allah to speak to you, you recite Quran. When you want to speak to Allah, you pray. And making dua is one of the ways that you speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, if you went to an extremely nasty, mean, stingy person, okay, let's say that when we shut this door, that becomes the house of that nasty, stingy, mean person, okay? And I stand here and I knock on his door, and I knock on his door, and I knock on his door, and I say, please, can I have a bottle of water? Please, can I have a glass of water? Please, can you just give me some water? And he's nasty, and he's stingy, and he's mean. And I stand there and I do it for half an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. What do you think this guy's going to do? He's going to open the door and he's going to chuck that water at you. You stand in front of Al-Kareem 5 times a day, and if you do the maths for the Fatiha that you recite, even if you were just to do the Fara'id, how many times are you saying Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in? 17. You stand in front of Al-Kareem, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Wadud, and you say, Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in. Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in. Do you think Allah will not help you and give you and fulfill your request? That stingy guy, that mean, nasty guy who hates your guts, he opened the door and he chucked the water at you because you asked so many times. What do you think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He is the most generous, the most loving. He loves you. He wants to give you. He wants you to ask so He can give you. Don't ever lose your connection with Allah or lose hope in asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll just end with this story, inshallah, that, I have a few things that have happened, and I'm sure this happens with each and every one of us. We just need to acknowledge it and notice it. But, I recently went for Umrah, and I forgot my counter, because I always forget the number of rounds I've done, because, then I'm focusing on the number of rounds rather than my dua. So I have this little string with the 7 beads on it, and I've forgotten it. And as I approached the mataf, I thought, oh no, I've forgotten my counter. So I had these 2 rings on my finger, and one of them is really loose, and it fits on all my fingers, my thumb and everything. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to be really clever, and I'm going to count with my ring. So I put my ring on, my little finger, and we started our tawaf, and my daughter was with me. And so we finished the first round, and when we came to the second round, the ring is gone. And I thought, oh no, this ring was so loose, I shouldn't have put it on my little finger, because it's, if it fits on my thumb, you can imagine. And the mataf was crowded, it was packed. I said, you know what, how am I going to find this ring now? And it was really beloved to me. And so I said to my daughter, I said, are you sure I had this ring? Because I'm thinking maybe I didn't, maybe I was imagining it. She said, yes, you did, Mama. She said, don't worry, we haven't moved around. We've been going in the same circuit, so let's just walk again and we'll keep looking at the floor. So we said, okay. And, now the second round we're looking down on the floor, looking amongst people's feet and, hoping that, from somewhere this ring is going to pop up. And as I'm going around, I'm asking the cleaners, and I said to them, excuse me, I've lost a ring, is there any way I can find it? And he said, don't worry, when we clean up, whatever we find, we return to the hatim. Because they have this, it's a haram, right? It's a sanctuary, you're not allowed to pick anything up. So when people find lost things, they give it to the guy at the hatim, and they have a big bag of lost and found items. So for any of you ever going there, you go to the hatim and you speak to the guard there, and he will give you the bag, and you can have whatever you've lost. So I asked two or three of these guys, and I asked in Askari as well, and they all said the same thing. They said, go to the hatim. And I'm thinking there's this sea of people, right? And to go to the hatim is like a mission. And I'm thinking, are you serious? You keep lost and found things over there? So anyway, we cut across, right? We went to the guy at the hatim. And I'm trying to speak to him through these women who are trying to touch the Kaaba. And I said to him, I lost a ring. And he said, I don't have any ring right now, but come back in an hour. I said, you must be joking. I'm not coming back in an hour. So I exchanged numbers with him, and he was very kind, so he gave me his number. And okay, alhamdulillah, I was very happy. Anyway, we came out of this, sea of people again, and then in an hour's time, I called him. I asked him, I said, so did you find the ring? I was really hopeful, because I had made dua while I was making tawaf. I said, oh Allah, I'm too weak to find this little thing in this huge crowd. And I said, oh Allah, either take me to the ring or bring the ring to me. But I don't know how I'm going to find this ring. So I called him, and he said, no, Allah, I haven't found anything yet. But if I find anything, I'll let you know. I said, okay, I'm leaving. But I said, I come here often, so if you find it, keep it, and I'll take it off you. So, all right. So then I came back to Riyadh, and, I said to my husband, I'm really sad, I lost my ring. And, he said, oh, mashallah, it's an opportunity for him to have a go at me. So he said, mashallah, another clever thing that you decided to do. So, anyway, and then, many days passed. So for the first 2 days, when I was back in Riyadh, I kept sending him a message. I sent him a picture of the ring. I said, this is the ring, any chance, any. He said, I'm really sorry, nothing yet. Then the second day, I WhatsApped him again. He said, if I find it, I promise I'll let you know. So I thought, what he must be thinking? She needs to get out of this bubble that we're going to find this ring now. But alhamdulillah, I had, good hope in Allah. And about 10 days or 12 days later, right, I was praying Asr, and I was making dua for something which was, it was a really, really tough thing. But I was still asking Allah. But, astaghfirullah, at the back of my mind, I was thinking, we should be reasonable in our du'as as well, because this is the mistake that we make. We think things might be too complicated for Allah. And so as soon as I made taslim, my daughter is standing there with the ring in her hands. No problem. Alhamdulillah. At least that's working now. So,
You found it, right?
My daughter's standing there with this ring in her hand, and I'm just shocked and blown away. And I'm obviously at this moment in time, I'm doubting my own sanity, and I'm thinking, what, I must have forgotten this ring here, and I must have imagined that I'm using the ring. And so I called my other daughter, and I said, are you sure I had that ring on my finger when I lost it? And she's speechless, and we're all just looking at each other. We're really confused. I said to her, where did you find it? She said it was on the kitchen counter.
So it was there all along?
No. Because my husband said he had been working in the kitchen the previous day, and he said, I didn't notice any ring there. Allahu alam, how it got there, I can't understand, but I'm just saying, ask Allah, and Allah will give you if it is for you. Don't shy away, don't think anything is impossible or too difficult, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ala kulli shay'in qadir. And I felt that apart from the fact that, he answered my dua and he returned my ring, I told you that just before she came up with the ring, I was thinking, oh, this dua is really complicated. I felt maybe this was a way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show me nothing is complicated. You just ask. We just close the doors on asking, and then we just sit and we just suffer and we just struggle, and we go to this one and that one and that one, and none of them can do anything. And all the keys and the solutions are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I hope, inshallah, that this is of benefit to all of you, and I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects us all from difficulties, from challenges. This is not something that we want or we ask for, but we hope that whatever challenges we are facing, it is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us, and so that's why He is testing us with some hardship, and He is trying to draw us closer to Him. Because when we stop having the need, we stop asking, we stop speaking to Him. As long as we have the need, we're speaking to Him, we're connected to Him. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us with our mental health, with our challenges, with our difficulties, and help us to stay connected with Him, and strengthen our iman, and strengthen our hearts, and improve our situations, whatever they may be. وسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.